We got something to say. Show. Let's see. She must be talking to Tasha.
Who? What happened? I don't see nothing.
It's hey Coosby. She said your hair is fine.
Oh, girl, help me get it right.
Will we see? We won't see chats. Will you only see it?
Well, I'm on my computer, so I see it.
Oh, you can.
Maybe I should have logged in on a laptop.
So y'all would be able to see it too. I don't know what you have to. How you have to swipe on your phone? Maybe you can swipe. No.
Oh, let me see. Yep, I got a button at the bottom. Chat. Chat with the host and other guests.
Yeah, that's the private one, huh?
Oh, let me see. Yep, I got a button at the bottom. Chat. Okay, I just got to swipe over, but I won't be able to see the feed.
Yeah, that's the private one, huh?
Oh, let me see. Yep, I got a button at the bottom. Chat.
There's some feedback.
Okay, I just got to swipe over, but I won't be able to see the feed.
Yeah, that's the private one, huh?
I just got to swipe over, but I won't be able to see the feed.
Yeah, that's the private one, huh? One of y'all playing the live?
Yeah, I just got to swipe over, but I won't be able to see the feed.
That's Shaq. That's Jonas.
I think it was me.
No.
No more, Shaq.
Huh?
All right, so we can begin. First of all, thank you guys for agreeing to be a part of this chat, this discussion. Since y'all are like the gurus in my eyes. As it relates to, student engagement and, Royal Court, SGA, Greek life, all three of you are Greek. So y'all have the insight from your undergrad to now working as higher ed professionals. So over the years, I'm sure y'all have experienced many changes, many challenges, and have seen things that could be beneficial to incoming students to help them at the door. So I want you to start by introducing yourself, telling us who you are, anything you want to tell, but most definitely who you are, where you work, how long you've been in higher ed, and in what capacities, and anything else you want to share. And your affiliations, where you graduated from, Greek, all that good stuff. So on my screen, we're going to start with the lady, Tasha.
All right, so good evening, everyone. My name is Tasha Andrews. I serve currently at Tennessee State University as the Executive Director of New Student Programs and Retention in the Division of Enrollment Management. Prior to that, I've had a pretty nice experience serving in student activities and leadership, where I was a Royal Court advisor for the past 7 consecutive years. So I've had 7 wonderful queens and 7 wonderful kings, and it's been a great experience. And as far as it relates to me personally, I'm a graduate of North Carolina Central University in Durham, North Carolina. And while I was there, I was an active student leader. I was both a queen and a president, and I pledged the Alpha Chi chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
All right, Jonas.
Hello, good evening. My name is Jonas Vanderbilt. I am a native of New Iberia and a graduate of Southern University in A&M College in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I am now the Assistant Vice President of Student Affairs at Wiley College in Marshall, Texas. My extent is over 13 years of experience in higher ed. I've had I don't even know how many, over 10 or 11 queens and presidents. I began working in higher ed at Southern as a program advisor, and then I was a director of student life for many years. I have experience in being over Greek life, MPHCs, multitude of organizations, and I also at Southern University pledged the Alpha Sigma chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated.
I guess the best for last, Good evening, everyone. My name is Shaquille Dillon. I serve as the Executive Director of Enrollment Management at Wiley College. I've been in this role for at least 2 weeks now. Prior to that, I was the Executive Director of Student Life here at Wiley College. And prior to that, I worked at Southern University as the Assistant Director of Recruitment while I met Miss Alatoya Cranford at then I tenured at Southern University. So my track is more so enrollment management and student life. I've worked with Mr. Vanderbilt throughout the years. He was actually my advisor on the Royal Court 3 times, and um, moving on from being a student leader to a professional, I've learned the different roles that you have to take from being a student to becoming a professional. So, student life, student engagement. I was also a student leader and ambassador. Everything you can think about at Southern University, I did after Southern University. I became a part of the best fraternity known to mankind, which is Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated, the Beta Iota Lambda chapter in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And yeah, I've been in higher ed for about 6 years now.
6 years. Jonas, you said 13?
Yes. Let's
And
not start subtracting and trying to figure out ages.
I'm not. Tasha, how long you say?
7. I'm
7.
in my 8th year. I'm in my 8th.
I can't talk, Jonas. I'm on year 10, so we're right there. So, as it relates to student affairs, student life, discuss the impact that student organizations can have on a student. Like, in your eyes, why is it important for a student to become involved?
I can go first. I believe that becoming a part of an organization, so if you're a student, especially at HBCU or at any college, of course, academics come first, but usually jobs and persons who are looking of interest and they want to see a well-rounded individual. And so when you join a student organization, it gives you hands-on experience on dealing with people, different types of persons. You may learn about programming, you learn how to engage and interact. And then it depends on the type of organization. So trying to be a part of an organization that's dealing with your major, becoming a part of a fraternity or sorority, being a part of a student government association, a royal court, it all gives you that upper hand on other persons who just went to school.
Understood.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Jonas that it's super, super important to your professional future after college. But while you're also in college, there are actually a lot of studies that show that students who have interactions outside of just the classroom experience enjoy their college experience overall, more. And I think that it's super important if you're a student to surround yourself and go ahead and get accustomed to balancing a lot of things at once. I think if you just focus on school, you'll graduate and think life is like that, and it is not. If you have many aspirations of being a husband or a wife or a mom or having your own business and working your job or your hobbies or being active in your church or community, that's like 7 or 8 things. So you don't need to spend 4 years thinking that it's okay to master one, because life is not like that. You'll graduate and you have so many things that you have to juggle. And I think being an active student, being a student leader, being in clubs and organizations helps you master what that feels like before you get into the real world.
Thank you. Shaq, you have something to add?
Yeah, I just want to make sure. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. It's a little low.
Okay.
You're a little bit, low, but you're good.
It's a little low, but we can hear you.
Okay, great. I think on my end, coming from my perspective, going from being a student leader to actually working at the college, the transformation, it was fairly easy because I was surrounded around people who wanted to see me grow. And I think when you're a student leader on a campus or involved in an active organization, you never know who's watching you.
Right.
So just by you doing what's right, you being a professional in a student leadership position can ultimately lead you into a career field that you never even dreamed or imagined of being in. I've never imagined of being in higher education or an advisor or royal court or any of that. but someone saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. So I don't take that lightly. So it is my duty now as a professional to teach student leaders that same thing. Like, you have to go back and grab somebody and teach them the ropes along the way. And being active in an organization will definitely teach you the ropes of life and how to actually deal with people and to network with people as well.
Agreed. And I often tell students coming in, I get to see all the freshmen first. Aim to join at least one social and one academic, one within your major and then one social, because you're going to need, although there's student organization and extracurricular, they also teach what balance and discipline. You get to learn a little more about yourself, but if you stay within your dormitory or res hall, then you're not really expanding or growing as much as you could if you don't maximize the experience. So we know that each campus has its own vibe. So as it relates to student organizations, there are several types, right? So you can have social, you can have academic, you can have Greek and non-Greek. What else? Academic,
Community.
community.
Yeah.
So let's on your campuses, one of y'all speak for Southern, one of y'all speak for Wild. What organizations do you offer? Like, what are the most popular ones that students cater to or choose to do?
Go ahead, you can go ahead.
I can speak for Wiley. We're a smaller school, so it is very intentional with joining different organizations. You pick different organizations to join just on your personality. We have, religious organizations, Greek life organizations, and social organizations. And a lot of students are more prone to joining the social organizations. One big organization, which was just started within this past 2 years, is Women of Wiley, which is an empowerment organization for women on campus. And so the men didn't have an organization on campus, so they're prone to starting a male empowerment group on campus. So I think the gear towards seeing the need of an organization. I always tell students, if you don't see an organization that you fit into, or you don't think you will like to join, start your own. Find an advisor, come up with your constitution, submit it to student affairs, and if it's approved, then you can start your own organization, and that's you leaving a legacy at your college and or university.
Agreed.
Yeah. At Tennessee State University, kind of similar to Shaq, I mean, we have so many organizations that, you see students come up with new organizations and you're like, you have to flip through a Rolodex. Like, we don't already have that. It's like we don't. It's like, wow, and one thing that I noticed at Tennessee State University that I did not see at a lot of the other institutions I worked at is that they have a lot of clubs even from where you're from. There's a Chicago club, which I love. They always got popcorn. They get the Chicago popcorn. Like, y'all want the Garrett's? Like, you find your own tribe. You find a group of people that you fit in with. So at Tennessee State, if you're a first year student, unfortunately, you're not allowed to join organizations. That's a university rule because they want students to get in and adjust well to the academic rigor, transitioning from high school to college. But there are a couple of loopholes. So there's a more recent organization called Freshman Innovation Council, and it's a club, not an organization, but it's an organization. But it gives first year students the opportunity to come together and, apart from freshman class council, still make an impact at the university. And then, of course, once you are a sophomore or higher, of course, we have the Divine Nine organizations and so many other organizations, social organizations, academic organizations, even athletic organizations. So it's a lot of opportunities to get involved at TSU.
Okay, so while I work at Wiley College now, most of my career was spent at Southern University in Baton Rouge, and like Tennessee State, it's a huge HBCU. So there's a plethora of organizations. I would guess almost 100 by now, because students come in and they will find a niche or find a loophole or find a need for an organization and start their own, as we spoke about before. But most popular, of course, will always be Greek organizations on big campuses. Student government is big. At Southern, there's special councils called Association for Women Students and Men's Federation. So as Shaq was speaking about the Women of Wiley, these are actual organizations that are councils at Southern. They get budgets for their organizations, just as a student government would. And they actually perform special initiative programs that's catered to just women and just men on campus. There are social organizations, there are professional organizations such as there's actually a group of Masons at Southern University, which was weird for some of you. There's a Mason group. There are special interest groups, as we talk about, with Chicago clubs and Cali Club and West Side Connection and all those different things they come up with.
Kuzi said there's 109 clubs.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of them. Yeah. I mean, imagine a day being an advisor or a student life person is taxing. It's, I think 100 organizations. You're responsible for at least 7 for sure that fall directly underneath you. They all have their own councils, their own constitutions, their own. I mean, it was almost a day-to-day reading up through constitutions to make sure that you're up on game before somebody comes to you and asks a question. But it's great. Universities should have 1 million organizations and colleges. There should always be something for a student to do. Some people get mad when they say, oh, we having a program on such and such date, and they have a program too. There should be a multitude of programs that cater to different students. One thing I did at Southern and even at Wiley, well, we haven't had the problem at Wiley, but at Southern is between our MPHC councils, we made sure that they didn't have any conflict in organization. I mean, programming, but anyone else could. And so that just made them be more unified. But like I said, a campus should always have a plethora of programs going on, and that's because of the multitude of different types of organizations.
And so you mentioned NPHC. Can you elaborate what it stands for our?
So yes. So the NPHC is the National Panhellenic Council. It is comprised of the 9, Divine Nines, people call them, the 9 Black Greek lettered organizations. There are 5 fraternities and 4 sororities that is a part of it.
Okay. So we have a question for you all. How do you all address lack of interest by young Black males to be involved, which is an issue on campuses around the country? The lack of male involvement.
Okay, I'll go ahead, Shaq. Any one of us, don't matter. Okay, yeah. So I think that there is, the question is geared to Black male involvement, but I think there's a lack generationally of involvement on campuses now. I think we're struggling to try to get students to be more engaged and more involved and join an organization. There are vacancies in student governments, and nobody wants to be the queen or the king. And it's
running unopposed.
Running unopposed is a big thing now. That was unheard of. And I think it's a lack of, and it's not a nod or a knock to this new generation, but it's because everything is so accessible to them. They want everything quick. A lot of people want to give opinions very quickly, but don't want to be the person to solve them or the person that actually makes the decisions. When it comes to Black male involvement, I think there's a lot of opportunities to become different leaders on your campus. People, like we said, start an organization that's not there. I think it's a stereotype of Black men to not necessarily not want to be the leader, but they want to be more on the campus, enjoying themselves a little bit more, lack of responsibility. There are few and far in between now in this age that are stepping up and want to be. As you notice, there are a lot of female SJ presidents, a lot of female vice presidents, female presidents, everything, and it's not a knock to them as well. I think it's great that women are stepping up to leadership, but we are losing a lot of Black males to actually jump into the fields, which, like we said earlier, is going to help them later on in their job fields.
And I like to add to that. I agree with everything that you stated. And another thing, I think it's a intimidation that this generation struggles with that maybe we did not 15 years ago, 25 years ago.
Afraid to lose.
Yeah, I only see that because you'll see somebody, Royal Court, for example, if a young man wins Mr. Freshman and then that young man wins Mr. Sophomore, for the next 2 years, it's over. Nobody want to run against him.
Nobody
I'm like,
he gonna win anyway.
he beat 3 people across 2 years. That's
Yeah.
run against it. But so many people, it's like they'll feel intimidated, and then it becomes like this shoe-in process. And no knock to that person because they're taking the initiative to at least try. But it's just when we were in school, you guys can all kind of attest to this, I'm sure. You didn't see that. You didn't see a major position going unopposed or one person, 2 people running. You didn't see that. Because
Campaign was real.
yeah, campaigning was bigger than probate. It was like, it was a big thing, so to see people, and it seems like they're suffering from intimidation, but I don't even want to put all of that on the students. I think some of that is our fault. I think we as advisors have dropped the ball in some regards to make people feel comfortable. And that's one thing that I tell I don't serve in that capacity anymore, but when I did, I would tell students, if you think it's a shoe, I will go recruit somebody to run against you. Because I'll go sit and eat in a cab for a week and find somebody.
She was somebody.
And literally have a conversation. Like, have you ever thought about, and sometimes something really beautiful comes out of that. I had a king by the name of Patrick from 3 years ago, maybe 4 now. And it was just like that. He was sitting outside my office talking loud, and I couldn't even hear on the phone. And I walked outside and I said, "You're talking so loud. Like, you need to bring your volume down." And I thought he was gonna say, go in your office, shut up. And he said, "Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry." And that let me know that there was some potential there. And I kept a tab on him, and I asked him, I said, "Do you want to run for Mr. North Carolina Central University?" And he said, "I am not walking around this campus with no briefcase. I ain't doing it. No." And I literally, every time I saw him, I spoke that thing into his life. I would encourage him. I kept pushing him. When the interest meetings came, I told him personally, like, "Did you see that flyer? We got an interest meeting." Just kept pushing. And He ran and he won. And he is, to this day, one of the best kings that we have had. He went off to the national pageant and placed in the top 3. He created a sickle cell awareness day that we had. He did amazing things, and it all started from him sitting outside my office talking loud on his cell phone. But I think I say that to say that sometimes we gotta go get the ones that don't come on there and put the opportunity before them, because sometimes it just takes a little nudge, and then they'll run the rest of the way.
That's it. I agree.
I think the young lady and the young man who served as Mr. Wiley and Miss Wiley this year was not involved their freshman year. They were 2 individuals, 2 great individuals. One is from Delaware and one is from Missouri. And they were just in a choir. And I said, "Have you all ever thought about like running for a position?" They was like, "No." And I'm like, "You all should. Why not?" You know, and they was like, "Well, how many people run against us?" I can't say. Just going for the position, and so they ended up both running unopposed, going on to go to NASAP, which exposed them to so much more, meeting new people. And then just this past semester, they actually ran for Mr. Wiley and Miss Wiley as sophomores. So the young lady ended up winning Miss Wiley, and the young man ended up winning Mr. Wiley. But that goes on to say what Tasha said. Sometimes you have to reach out to students because a lot of times they don't know their potential or what they can do or what they can't do. But oftentimes if somebody come to you and say, "Have you ever thought about?" or that means somebody sees something in you that you didn't see in yourself.
Right. And so, the group that we didn't have NASAP this summer, but last summer, the group that I brought last summer to NASAP, they weren't like in position. They were mainly my new student orientation leaders. And I like handpicked them. I handpicked at least 3 to 4 of them because they needed an experience.
Correct.
They were just on campus, so they needed the experience to see other students like them doing great things, making changes, and excited about being a part of the Black college community. So it never fails. Every chance they get, they're saying, "Thank you. It was because you allowed me to go to NASAP. It's because you gave me that exposure." Many times an exposure, some encouragement, they good to go. And one of them just won't be still now. So it's just
One of your students actually, when he crossed Alpha last semester, he reached out to me and I told him, "Congratulations, welcome to the house."
Uh-huh.
And he said, "Please tell Miss Cranford to let me come to NASAP this year."
You don't know how many pleas I have received. Like, you going to NASAP this year? Can I go? It don't
Yeah,
work
but
like that. I'm sorry. It don't work.
yeah, it all goes back to any organization, but all organizations like become a part of something because they have perks. Like being a part of student government, you might be able to get to go to NASAP. You'll travel to a football game, meet other student government associations. I came from a small town in New Iberia. I joined the Human Jukebox at Southern. I was a part of the band. I ended up traveling the world my freshman year. We had a presidential inauguration. We went from state to state. So, I
Right.
mean, there are perks and privileges that are allotted to students who step up and want to be a part of an organization.
And I think a lot of time when you're a student leader on campus, you have to be the person to find the next leaders in line
Yeah.
to follow you. Because a lot, I remember my freshman year,
That's
I was not involved in any organization, which I could have been. And this group of, I look at them as the elite people, the elite leaders on campus, was running for Miss Southern, and her best friend was running for Miss Senior, and her cousin was running for Miss Sophomore, and the Miss Senior boyfriend was running for vice president. All of these people was clicked together, and they were like, "Shaq, you should run for sophomore class president." And I was like, "Y'all, like my family do not have the money. I don't know how to. I don't know what to do." I end up running, going back to my community, and I think a lot of times a lot of students are fearful that they're going to lose out on a lot of money if they lose. But reach out to your church, reach out to the places that you work that will actually sponsor your whole campaign
Yeah.
because they want to see you grow and do
and they
things,
believe in you. You know.
and they believe in you, and that led to like Mr. Vanderbilt. I'm thinking I'm a student. Like Mr. Vanderbilt said, I remember traveling to my first football game, which was against FAMU at the MEAC SWAC in Orlando,
Wait,
Florida.
you're not about to tell no horror stories, right?
No, 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 no,
Go
no.
ahead. Go ahead.
I remember traveling to that game, and we got on the bus. Well, before we got on the bus, they said, "Here go your clothes for the game." I'm like, clothes? What? They're like, "Okay, that's your escort. You're gonna walk in line." Like, okay, this is all new to me. I didn't know how to tie a tie at the time. I just got a bag of
Now you're
clothes.
making them.
Yes,
Okay.
you make
on,
them.
And now you're
let's
making them.
go. And then he said, "Here go $140 for you to spend." I said, "Well, how can I get involved for the next year?" But that exposed me to so much more because, for one, I've never been to Disney World, so that was much exposure to me traveling on the bus with a bunch of other individuals from across the world. We're connecting with each other on a different level outside of the classroom. And
Hmm.
these experiences I would have never experienced if I wouldn't had to got out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I have a very similar story. I actually ran for Miss Freshman and lost, and it was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me, because I think that's something else that our students struggle with. They have a fear of failure, when in all actuality that fear of failure should push you to go even harder. Literally, after I lost Miss Freshman, I started my campaign for Miss Sophomore the next day. I was like, "You not on my campaign team next year. I saw you. I saw you not passing nothing out. I saw you." Like it gave me this mindset, and I will never forget at that time, current Miss North Carolina Central University. For number one, she was like 6 feet tall, this beautiful long black hair. I thought she was a supermodel. I mean, I'm 18. I'm like, is she from America? I'm just she was so beautiful to me. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, she was probably just a normal person, but her presence made me
Yeah.
feel at
Right.
that like she was superhuman. But Crystal, her name was Crystal Evans. Her name is Crystal Evans. And Crystal saw how hard of a campaign I ran for Miss Freshman. She came to me. She said, "I don't know how you lost." I almost fainted. I was like, she told me, she said, run again. And she took my number and she said, "If I need something, I'll call you." And she did call me. I mean, it was like being, a slave, but I wanted, I was doing it for Miss NCCU, so I didn't care if she needed me to go run and pick something up or bring some copies to the SGA office. I thought that was a great thing to do.
And you didn't say she was hazing you.
No, she wasn't.
You were just helping the girl out. You wanted to be a part of something.
She wasn't hazing me at all. Actually,
Correct.
being around her gave me the confidence to run for Miss Sophomore the next year, because even though I didn't have an advantage, I felt like I did. I'm like, the queen knows me, you know. I ran for Miss Sophomore against twice as many girls as I ran for Miss Freshman, and won by a landslide. And I think it was because I was humble enough to go at it again. I was teachable enough to take a kind of lowly thing to do, because when I was bringing her those copies, Miss Freshman was in there with her sash on, and I'm like, you know.
It's a humbling moment to actually take a step back. I lost SJ president at Southern. When people meet me these days, they say either you was Mr. Southern or SJ president. Neither. I just looked the part. But I spent, I say that all the time, I spent $6,000 on running for SJ president. That's t-shirts. And I was trying to buy the people vote other than trying to actually meet the people who they actually were. And when I lost, the first thing I told the guy when I lost was, I want to be on your cabinet. And a lot of times these students, they will lose the campaign, but they will feel like, well, I don't even want to be a part anymore. Like, forget it. Well, you never was the good student leader to begin with.
Oh, these students will transfer. They will go to a whole new school.
A whole new school.
They will.
Other than helping the next person, you can accomplish your same goals that you put on your platform.
Yep.
The leadership of somebody.
I saw that last semester. Yeah. I'm a transfer because you lost. Because you lost. What?
And for any student watching, I mean, of course, we as advisors and administrators, we know this, but for any student watching, you do yourself a grave disservice by transferring, quitting, unfollowing the Instagram page. I mean, you're just angry that you didn't win. You are doing yourself a disservice, because this is just a life lesson. This has nothing to do with being Greek, being a student. This is a life lesson. You cannot ever deserve to be over if you don't master how to be under. It's just that's just life. That's just life, and you got to learn that now. So don't run away from a failure. You got to fail to succeed.
Mm-hmm. We're speaking as advisors, but we all were students first too, and we all were a part of something or tried to run. I didn't make Kappa the first time. I didn't, so you got to go back again. You don't know if it's your time. Like I know that wasn't my line to be a part of. The line that I was a part of, we love each. I mean, it was great, and not saying once before it didn't, not no shade, but. I mean, there's a time and a place and a journey and a pathway for each person, and it might not have been your journey or your time.
Right. You got to know when it's your time, when it's your journey. Like, you can't go when everybody else go. That's not your ticket.
Or if you ain't worked for it, if you're not the person who was on the campus who was putting in the work, then you can't expect to reap the benefits if you haven't put no work in.
Oh,
my first I was a hall queen, and then many people don't know I ran for Miss Payne College, and I ended up being first runner up. And I only ran because people would be like, I bet you want to do it, I bet you I will. But I'm so glad. But I was a student athlete, so I was glad that I didn't become Miss Payne, because I wasn't gonna make nothing, because that game was coming first. So I had to let it go. So for those students, let me see, make sure I don't have any questions. For those students that are going to be incoming freshmen to our campuses in the fall, what are some tips you can give them as it relates to choosing a student organization that might work for them, or making that decision to become involved? What are some tips or pointers that you have for incoming?
Okay, so, keep going.
And we get into the nitty gritty about Greek and Royal Court.
Yeah. The first step I always tell freshmen is to watch your surroundings, watch what you do, because it's going to follow you. And that's with anybody on campus, but especially as a freshman, you can kill your reputation or kill your career as a college student in your first years. You're there to have fun. You are there to experience the campus. You are there to go to parties, events, go to class, of course, but you have to make sure that you are enjoying yourself but still being a model student, and finding an organization will help them with that. So we always talk about finding an organization in your major or something. Your major is going to always have something for you to be part of. If you don't want to be a student leader, if you don't want to be Mr. Freshman, Miss Freshman, freshman class president, one of those type of things, you can still volunteer with your class in student government. And being a volunteer or being on a cabinet will get you just as much experience and get your feet in the door or get you moving. So then you might be able to find the space that you want to be a part of on the campus.
So my advice would be number one, keep your plans to yourself. I think sometimes we advertise things much too soon,
Yeah.
and everybody that's in your audience is not a supporter.
That's a
Correct.
So
quote.
sometimes, yeah, that's a life lesson. But everybody who's in your audience is not always a supporter. So I think that would be my advice to first year students to make a plan. They told us to do this at new student orientation when I was a freshman, and I thought it was really dumb, but I was naive enough to go back to my room and do it. And they told us to take a piece of paper and write down everything you wanted to accomplish over the 4 years that you were there. And I did that. I wanted to dance in the band, and I wanted to be a queen, and I wanted to be a president, and I wanted to do, these different things. And I wrote that list down, and I think I did everything on the list with the exception of maybe 2 or 3 things. And I kept that list. Of course, it went from paper to computer, but I kept that list over the course of those 4 years because it was important to me. And one thing that was very beneficial to me that I saw other people did not do is that I kept those plans to myself until it was time, because I didn't want a hater. I didn't want a copier. I didn't want anybody. Luckily, my roommate my freshman year was my cousin, so I could tell her everything. But other than that, I kept my plans to myself, and I executed when it was time to execute.
Yeah.
I would say, don't be afraid to step out your comfort zone. College, you're not the first person to do it. You definitely not going to be the last person to do it. And you have to be open minded when it comes to joining different organizations. Everybody is not out to hurt you. A lot of people are there to help you and to help you become the next leader that you want to be. But more so, I would say be mindful because we're in this social media era. Be mindful of what you post because a screenshot, a screen record can ruin your reputation for not only your college matriculation, but for the rest of your life. So be mindful of what you post because we've learned, within these few months that they can find a tweet that you tweeted 3 years ago that you tweeted negatively about some different organization or something that you tweeted positive or negative. So just be mindful because somebody out there knows the real you
Somebody
and they will quickly humble you if you out here doing stuff that you don't supposed to be doing. So just be
publicly, they will humble you publicly.
publicly. I won't give two left shoes about it. So just be open minded. I know we're in this virtual stage. A lot of schools are opening up. A lot of schools are going virtual. Take this time to figure out what you want to do. School is going to be there, but you have to see what the school actually offers. So it takes a little bit more research other than just going on the campus during freshman orientation, seeing all the organizations that they have to offer. Sometimes you have to do your own research on what you actually want to join at the school.
Agreed. So there's a question. What advice would you give to a person that wants to run for a position but are reluctant because they know those line brothers that want to run also? There are line brothers.
Let me tell you. Ooh, I don't need. I got a lot for this, but I would say what's for you is for you. Don't hold back your aspirations on your college campus just because your line brother, your best friend, anybody want to do it because you may be the better fit for it. So you honestly have to just go with your own good. Um, I look at it like if that's your frat brother, your line brother, and two of y'all want to run, I mean that's just two out the pot that can win that represent your organization. I mean somebody else may have a different perspective, but that's just my perspective.
Yeah, I love you, Shaq, but I'm gonna have to disagree.
I got I got two opposed. I don't know. I'm like,
We'll
Go
let you wrap it up, Jonas.
yeah.
We'll let you wrap it up, Jonas. What you got?
I personally think that because I too have experienced that, and I think as a chapter, you guys need to have a very open, candid conversation and choose that way. Because in my personal observation, and I'm sure this is different on every campus with every org, but from what I've seen, a lot of times when two line brothers or two line sisters run against each other, you split your vote, and then the underdog might be able to come in and win because all the people that like Ashley also like Amber, you know? And then instead of them being able to put all their votes on Ashley or Amber, it kind of got split up and now Bianca then won. And Bianca could be a great person, but I'm just, I think sometimes you split your vote, and I think it sometimes we know that your intent and your motives were pure, but other people may not. And then it starts to look like you guys may be divisive amongst yourselves. People get that. A lot of people, they have a misconstrued view on Greek life anyway. So then they'll use that to say, see, that's why I don't want to be an AKA. Look at them running against each other. They'll find whatever. So I think sometimes it does kind of demonstrate a bit of divisiveness. So I think that's something that you should handle in-house as a chapter, have a very open conversation about it, and make the best decision for you guys from that.
I
Sorry.
think that no, that's good. I think that there is a both sides scenario in this, right? The difference is maturity in a chapter. The difference is maturity in a chapter. I'm not gonna go too far into that. So you have to be sort of true to yourself too, right? I think that like what Shaq says was 4 years for you know that you're gonna be the best queen possible or the best SJ president or the best whatever position you and your line brother, line sister are running against each other for, right? If you know that you're not necessarily not saying not deserving of, or you know that person's gonna do a good job, or you know that you have, like I said before, haven't put in the work for it, don't take that away from your line brother or your line sister. Now, if both of y'all have been involved all your careers, you've both been working part of organizations, you both strive pretty hard. If it's a queen position, you both are doing beautiful things, you both are in community service projects. If y'all are both heavy hitters, then yes, it's going to come out for who's going to be what. But if you know that your line brother or line sister been working real hard for a long time, and like you trying to come in, then I say it depends on the chapter. I wouldn't pull it away from them. I would find something else so we all could win.
Yeah, and let me add to that, Jonas. You're absolutely right. And I think some of that responsibility is on you. Because I'll be
Right.
completely honest. I'm an AKA, and in my chapter, I think 2 years, I did cross as a sophomore. So 2 years, there was two AKAs running for queen. And I think when I got ready to run, nobody in my chapter ran against me because I was 3 years in. I mean, no shade to my line sisters that might have had aspirations because we were the sophomores that were the incoming seniors by this point. So it was all of us. And, I'm sure any of them could have been a wonderful queen, may have had aspirations to run. But I think you have to do your job to kind of utilize the art of intimidation, even within house, because you have to have been working so hard and been doing so good that people say, no, Tasha's been waiting on this moment, or you got to put that work in ahead of time, like Jonas said, and then I think that will make people not want to run against you, even people within your own chapter.
I will also add to that. During my tenure at Southern, I was involved in an organization called Cleveland 100 Black Men, and it's like a stepping stone to Greek life. Like if you join Cleveland 100, you more than likely going to join a Greek letter organization on the campus. And what happened was the young man who ran against me, we both knew we were running against each other since freshman year. He never was in a leadership position, but he was a great leader on the campus. His voice, stood out. Every time he spoke, people listened. And the president's office called both of us in and sat us down and told us, like, you all need to decide who's going to run for president because you all are two great leaders. So, mind you, that year, my best friend ran for vice president, my mentee ran for sophomore, my little cousin actually ran for freshman class president, and I was the one who ended up losing. But what happened was before that, we both sat down, and like Jonah said, the maturity level, we both sat down and said, whoever wins and whoever loses, we still going to be a part of each other's cabinet because we both want each other to succeed. So you have to be mature enough to say, on the back end, we both represent the same organization, but we both want to do the job. So we both want to work towards completing the task and completing that leadership role that is at hand for the students.
And also, if you're going to run against each other, if this is going to happen, you have to show camaraderie. So you don't have to support the other person, but you can't show that as a division because that's not what Greek life and chapters are about, or whatever organization. You can't, and then it may not happen from the two candidates. We see this happen in dance teams. I mean, especially the social media world, your fan pages and all this extra foolishness will be the ones to start a whole argument between the two people who love each other. Who it may not be real. Like, so you have to almost like take a picture together. You know how boxers do, they know each other, we against each other, but we still brothers or line sisters or something at some point. Because if you show division, that division is going to run deep within the chapter as well later.
Yep.
I think this is our competency. She said, what was it? Oh, and for the people the two guys or the girls that want to run in the same year, she said if one can run the next year, then, they can wait. Talk that thing out like some adult. So I think there's a student on here. Her question or her statement was, as a student leader, she often feels like she's doing too much with some of her ideas, or some of the ideas, and some male or female. Pardon my speech. What do you think a leader should do to, I guess, iron through what needs to take place as it relates to planning student involvement? It sounds like she's currently in a leadership position.
Yes. Another thing that you have to realize, people think that you have all the time in the world. You have all of 6 months. It's not a year. Your position is not a year long. You think it is. It's not. That first couple of months is learning and training over the summer. August don't even count it.
It's a
you
calendar.
have September. Say what?
It's a calendar year. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, you have September, October, maybe November, January, February, maybe March.
Maybe.
6. I'm too close to my camera. Oh, back. There we go. 6. Yeah. You have to. It's reverse. So you have to realize while you may have a million lofty ideas and they all may be great, if they're all great, find somebody else that you know and divide and conquer. Give them the idea. Let them nurture it. You help them with it. It's still your idea, but don't try to kill yourself and try to make everything happen. It's not gonna work. You're going to experience burnout very quickly.
Right. And that burnout comes to leaking schoolwork.
Right. As an advisor, I've had to kind of pull those coattails. And there were some students that didn't appreciate that at all. They were very unhappy because they wanted to do this and to do that. But I think many of them would probably come back after
later.
Their term or their reign is over. And if they would be mature enough and honest enough, they could agree with what I said before their term or reign even got started. Because what I think we fall victim of, and not just students, I see adults do this all the time. I see a lot of people do this. But I think sometimes we just want to say we did it. It wasn't effective.
Right.
But just want to say
that is it.
And I think a clear delineation of roles and responsibilities are needed. As an SGA president, if you're a woman SGA president and you're like, oh, I want to have a sleepover and talk about beauty. It's like, that don't got nothing to do with government at all. You could give that to Miss the Queen, or you could give that to, somebody else. And then I think what will happen is that if you really take the list to that student that asked the question, if you really take the list of the things that you want to do and line them up with your constitution of what you're supposed to be doing, I think that in and of itself will weed out some of it. So you won't feel like you're doing too much if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're doing it effectively.
She preaching over there.
She is. I hope that answers
My
your
cash
question.
app, my cash app is
Listen,
Come on, Alfred.
listen.
And as an advisor, that's when you bring the ideas to your advisor. That's what your advisor is there for. You sit down with your advisor and you have these conversations, and you allow your advisor
Okay,
to
that's
be
a big
very transparent with you on what you need to be working on and what is priority within the line items that you have listed. So I know Jonas used to, as soon as you're elected, that next day you're in the student life office talking about budgets and travel and the referendums and homecoming for the next year. The next day after you're elected, the first day you're elected, go out, have a great time. Tomorrow it starts.
But watch what you do when you go out and have a good time, because
Okay.
you'll come back tomorrow and won't be that person.
Some of those too.
And allow your advisor to give you constructive criticism. I think a lot of time students do not like constructive criticism. They like, well, why you want my hair to change and why you don't like my too tight suits, or you are an image of a leader now. A lot of leaders don't do these type of things, and like Tasha said, students come back and they say, I appreciate what you taught me, or I appreciate
all the time.
what you said. And especially with these queens are more so prone to coming back and saying, I thank you, I appreciate it, you taught me this, or it's the little things that matter that you don't realize at the time.
Right.
Mhm.
That's why.
And we
That's why we have to stay committed. We have to stay committed to our call, our purpose. Eventually, they'll all line up and they'll get it. Go ahead, Tasha.
I was gonna say to Shaq's point, students they do come back, but here's another life lesson: don't yell and scream. My advisor hate me; she won't let me be myself. But then you whisper, "You were right.
Come
thank
on.
you."
Come on.
I'm
Come
gonna
on.
keep that same
What's the
energy.
cash app again?
What's your cash app? I was just about to say
Yes.
that.
Shit. Pass the collection plate. Look.
Because that's true. They do come back and they thank you and they're like, "Oh, you were so right," and this, that, and the third. It's like, girl, I knew. Like,
Just as loud with your apology as you was with
Yeah.
your releases. Come on.
Yeah, it's so many like sleepless nights. I mean, there are, and so two things. A note to advisors that are on as well. You can't always take stuff personally. These students will say and do all kind, and trust me, there are many a times that I wanted to close the door, and we could be adults about these situations, but you also have to realize that they're students sometimes, and they're going to come with some issues, and some of them come with issues, and some of them necessarily weren't trained yet or don't know, and so and some of them don't change. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, a lot of our job is to make you the better version of you, students. We are going to do our best to make you the best version of you. If you are not open or receptive or wanting to change, you're not going to grow. You're not going to become the best person. And so, yeah, I mean, like she said, you have to come in and willing to be open. And if you are disruptive, I mean, sometimes it's good to push a point, but there are ways to do it. There are ways to speak to someone with respect. There are ways to get your point across. There are ways to fight the system. I mean, I've had some SGA presidents who had some very valid points about administrators and the school was not doing right by students. You can't be the person to throw your shirt off in the middle of the street and be ready to fight the power. That's you are a leader. You're a part of the position. There are ways of doing those things. There are ways of professionally coming across and making your point valid.
So with all that, that's a good segue into the next part as it relates to SGA leadership, those leadership roles, and then campus queen, king, Greek life. So we know some of the myths that come along with the territory. Campus queens, oh, they just want to be in the magazine. They just want to wear the crown, dress up, and that's it. SJ president, most of them are concerned with homecoming only. Greek life, I got my letters. I'm the ish right now, you know, type thing. So with some of the things that are out there, like how do we address those? Let's get into that because y'all have many experiences.
Which position first?
And then let's start with y'all probably go really in on King Queen. Let's start with SGA. Let's start with SGA president. So there's a question. Can you describe the difference in an SGA president and a campus queen? Some queens have the planning mindset of the SGA president. SGA president has a mindset of queen planning.
I'm glad you said that because
tapped on a little bit.
Yeah, I'm glad you said because I forgot to expand upon what Tasha said earlier. Mm-hmm. There's a clean delineation between roles and responsibilities, right? A lot of issues come into play when we're trying to cross the roles that's not for you. If you are trying to be a part of a role that is not something that you're playing, then you should assist the other person with that role. And that's only giving them the suggestion and supporting. You can't try to do the job of somebody else. Like, that's just not going to work. You have a clear role, a clear responsibility. And this does not say that if you are a queen, that you can't have points and a purpose and a fight. You can. There are different things that you can step into, but your lane cannot be the SJ president's lane. Your lane cannot be trying to figure out who's the budget for this or why are you spending money on X, Y, and Z. You have your own role to play. And also in playing those different roles, you have to support the other person. You can't be the queen and you're mad at the SJ president and we make it public and what's going on and you really trying to do the SJ president job. Or you can't be the SJ president that's so concerned with the royal court and what we wearing on Saturday and ready to move around the thing when there's a whole lot of programs that you're supposed to be putting on or your school falling apart or your students don't trust you or stuff like that. So
Orlando made the comment, SGA should be a governing board, not programming. Let's be clear.
But so it depends on schools because so at Southern, the Student Government Association is the planning, and so they do governance and their activities. So that's one entity. On some campuses, there's a governing board and there's an activities board. So yeah, it plays on what campus that we're talking about.
Yeah, because I know Grambling has SGA, but then they have F-Sub too, which is their Student Union Advisory Board. So it depends on the school. But can you repeat the first question that you said about the
which one? The myths?
Yeah, and the Royal Court.
What was it again?
The Greek and the Royal Court. Can you repeat that question?
Oh, you haven't went out. I went into talking about the myths, and we were going to tackle SGA first. But the question was from the guy, like the difference between SGA programming or Queen programming and planning. Was that the one you're talking about? No.
Yeah.
that was the last one.
Yeah. I mean, even as a queen, there should be some initiative that the queen has that she works on that's going to help out her student body and help out the community and those different things. As the SJ president, they are the governing person, the liaison between governance and what the students have going on and the advisors and administrators. They should work harmoniously to get their students on track or the things that the students want. But there are specific roles and duties that each one of them have to play.
Yeah, I think Mr. Vanderbilt did a wonderful job answering that because that's all that needs to be stated generally. And I think every example I have is too close of an example that people might be watching and they would know exactly who I'm talking to and when, so I'm not going to give any personal examples. I think that's absolutely what needs to happen. Just the advisor kind of has to play the gatekeeper on what's happening, what's not happening to make sure people don't step on one another's toes. Sometimes, Jonas said this earlier, that sometimes students come to us and they've not been taught. They don't know any better. And sometimes they're hurting. So you may have somebody that runs for SGA president or any role really, but because they feel so insecure within themselves, they just want to outdo another person. It doesn't matter that that person is the queen or the role, or the person doesn't matter. They just want to outdo somebody because it overcompensates for something that they're dealing with personally. And that's why I think the advisor is so important, to just remain as the gatekeeper on everybody staying in their lane. Because when you stay in your lane, there's no traffic, so that's always important.
And then there's also this is, I got another way to say it. This is some of the excuse that advisors will say, well, I want to make sure that they grow and learn on their own. Yes, sometimes you have to let students fall and fail to make them grow and get better, right? But you're not going to fail too hard under my watch either, because that's going to also reflect upon you and your job. So if they got Vanderbilt name on it, you're not about to look or act no fool underneath me. The other thing is that I would also heed to students, and because what happens is an advisor is they're doing their job, they're teaching the students what they should do and what they shouldn't do, and the administrators that are over the advisors are not allowing them to do their jobs. Like, you have to, if you hire me for a service or a reason, and you trust my leadership and trust what I'm doing, when something happens, I know the background, I know what the student's been doing. I also tell people this: I don't care who win. They'd be like, you just wanted such to win. No, actually, I really didn't care, because I have to work with whoever. I'm going to make whoever win go be the best person regardless. So it don't matter. But the thing is that, and this is what advisors, sometimes you have to be just as strong and just as vigilant as those students are. When you know something is wrong and know something is right, there are many times I had to fight because I knew that this was the right thing to do, or this was the wrong thing to do on behalf of a student, or if there's a conflict between two, there's a right and a wrong answer. You can't just sit back and allow the foolishness to happen.
Yeah, and for any students that's watching, when the advisor makes that decision, don't chalk that up to, oh, you don't like me. It's like, that's so unfair to us. I agree with Jonas. I've said that too, and I would always say that in the interest meetings. I don't care who win, because at the end of the day, I'm going to win. So make sure you look good. I got to make sure you popping, because I'm going to win. That's super important.
Too.
Yeah.
That's super important to me. So I think sometimes when we tell students, something that they don't want to hear, it's easier to just say, oh, my advisor doesn't like me. My boss doesn't approve every idea I have. I don't go home and say my boss doesn't like me. I just know that he's the boss and he gets to determine what happened. And if I get to ever become the boss, then I'll get to determine what happened. But until then, I have to submit myself under that leadership. And I think sometimes our students forget that.
And I think also that as a student, you have to remember your why. Of why did you run? Why did you seek this position other than getting it and say, I got it. I don't want to do anything else with it. You have to remember, the platform that you put together to tell students, to remind students of why they voted for you. So a lot of times when students are elected, they forget about their entire platform of their initiative that they want to put forward. As a student, no matter if it's a queen, no matter if it's a SJ member, and no matter if it's Greek, a lot of individuals go to Greek interest meeting and say the reason I want to be a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is to serve in my community. Well, why do you need Alpha to serve in the community? You can serve in the community without being a part of a fraternity or a sorority. So you have to remember your why, and you have to remember that all these advisors, majority of the time, they've been through these situations before. You're not coming with something new. You're not showing us any new tricks that we do not know. We've been there. We learned them. We did them.
And done them. And try.
And wrote a book on them and told them how to.
And didn't videotape it or post it.
So you have to remember why, and especially with university queens, I see this a lot.
Let's segue into the queen and king.
Huh?
I say let's segue into the king and queen.
A lot of times, you get in these positions and you think it's gonna go your way. You think you're gonna wear what you want to wear, and you're gonna do what you want to do, but it's not the tradition or the culture of the school. So you can't be repping Wiley College wearing red. unless it's American Heart Association.
Right.
That's just not our school colors. And a lot of things you can't. You have to remember that you have to live up to the legacy and the tradition that those before you have left. And a lot of times people don't realize that like you just can't do certain things. And I've learned that being on the court, it's an image and a look. I remember being on Southern's Royal Court, and we will go up to the president's suite, and the ladies and the men up there will look you from head to toe. And if something is wrong, they will look at the advisor and say, "Why you let them do this?
Exactly.
Why she don't have any stockings on, or why her skirt is too tight, or why their ties are so trash." And it makes the advisor look bad, and you like, well, that's what they want to do, and y'all told me you let them do what they want to do, but it's not gonna happen up under my watch.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. And one thing for any students that's watching, and advisors too, one of the things that I always ask my students when I was serving as an advisor to the Royal Court specifically and SGA, when it comes to clothes and attire and hair and all that, I would ask them, I would say, right now, today, on June 17th, 2020, are there more alumni or more students right now? And they would stop and they think about it. And I'm like, okay, think about it. We got 8,000 students. How many alumni do you think we have? I don't know, maybe 80,000, maybe 60, maybe 50,000. I don't know. Okay, we're going to please the majority every day. Because I don't care about what's a fad. Like, oh, bodycon, everybody likes bodycon dresses. Everybody in your generation likes bodycon dresses.
So that was something I was gonna add, but Orlando did type, and he was like, "You're no longer individual. You belong to the institution."
No, absolutely. We got to
That's what
please.
they miss. That's the part that they miss every time.
They miss that we have to please the majority at the football games. There are always going to be more alumni. There are always going to be more administrators when you add those numbers up. So let's please the majority. And if we ever show up somewhere and there are more students than there are alumni or whatever, then you have a little bit more freedom. But that's not homecoming. And that's not the classic. It's not going to happen. And like Jonas said, I think sometimes they forget that these things belong to the school. You know, you can ask a queen, if you didn't win and the girl who ran against you won, would we still have coronation? Yes, that means it doesn't belong to you. Coronation belongs to the university. You're the queen that we're honoring. You're the woman of the hour. And we do want to, because we care about you, we do want to add something to make it special to you. But the event belongs to the university. This is not your wedding. This is not your quinceañera. This is not your birthday party. You know, this.
So with y'all being advisors, how do y'all handle those individuals that feel so entitled once they get a temporary title, you know, for the year? How do you handle your entitled?
Well, I think you all know how I handle those type of situations.
I mean, yeah, we do, but tell them in a polite way.
No.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that if you set a standard with your students from the beginning or from the jump, then they know what the standard is. And you can try to fight that standard if you like, but you're not gonna win. Like, I mean, and this is not a knock to students, because yes, there's a tradition of a university or a college, and yes, times do change. You know, they'll win long bell bottoms and different things in different eras. And so it's the advisor's job to also stay up on game to know. So when we're teaching our leadership through image seminar, we talk about infusing a little bit of fashion or fad, as Tasha said, into what's going on. But what's going on is tradition and what the university is about or the college is about. And yes, every once in a while we may throw a new metallic tie in, or scarves are in this time, so we're gonna tie a scarf on. But that skirt will still be the same length.
Let's be cool.
You almost caught me. You're gonna have some. You are gonna put some stockings on. I mean, and women today. I mean, they tell you know, and I get it. It's a new day and age. You know, if you're the queen, guess what? I don't care if it's 100 degrees outside and you need to have 10 pair of them, because when they rip, you got to put another one on. This is what's happening, and times are gonna change, but class is not gonna change. And one thing you're gonna have underneath me is class. Even if you don't have it, You're gonna look like you have it. You're gonna represent this school well. And then when you're not, when May rolls around, you could do whatever the hell you want to do. Color your hair purple, flip. I would not like you to do it because I would hope that you have learned enough as a leader during the time that you've seen that you've grown into the better version of me, like I said before. But as long as you are a part or in that role or in that position, there's a standard you must uphold. You are the representation for the school. You are a representation for your students. And this is what they don't realize. You are a mascot. Just like Lacumba, the tiger at Grambling, the tiger at Tennessee State, they put that hood on, that head, that big thing.
Yeah.
They might be hot in that uniform. It's gonna be hot at a football game with that crown on, but you're gonna put it on. You're gonna represent your school. You're the mascot. You are the face, and that's what's supposed to happen.
And this position is greater than you. So
there was a million people before you, a million, and there's gonna be people after you as soon as you move along.
In addition to everything Jonas said, I think to deal with the students that do kind of show signs that maybe they're struggling with some entitlement, I also think relationship matters. I've noticed, particularly with queens more than anything, that I could try to build a relationship with her. And then if she falls into this moment where she's been a bit entitled or just not really understanding the gravity of the role of the title that she carries, because I established a relationship with her, I can pull her to the side and be very honest and say, hey, girl, you tripping, you know, you know, and I think as an advisor, I think as an advisor, when you develop that relationship, your students begin to kind of know you. So they know I'm gonna say it very nice one time, like, hey girl, you tripping. If you don't pick up on that signal, the next warning or the next time I have to address this is not gonna be as pleasant. And because and not to even say like I'm being a mean person, but I'm a documenter. I will document this. I'll keep records. So then when you can go to the VP, upstairs to the VP and say, well, I think I should get this or I should get that, I can pull a record of how many times you were late, how many times you were supposed to do XYZ and didn't show up, you know, whatever the case may be. So I don't want to take those drastic measures. So I try to at least lead with relationship to just be able to say, because that could happen to anybody. That could happen to any of us. Fall into the big head or we lose sight of the greater goal. That can happen to anybody. And you just have to trust that your advisor loves you enough, cares about you enough to pull you to the side and kind of slow you down for your good.
Yeah. If you are a student and you are privileged to get into these positions, because it's a privilege to become a part of these positions. It's not guaranteed. It's a heavy weight and a load to carry sometimes. Some people just aren't equipped to carry that type of load. But you got to remember, this is what you wanted to be. You decided to be this position, the queen, the king, or the somebody. And so remember all those times when you was late and nobody put you off. Remember those times where you didn't show up and you didn't get cursed out. Remember all those times where you didn't do what you're supposed to do and you could have been gone a long time ago. When we add up to 10, when we could have, and then you catch an attitude about something small. Yeah.
As a student leader, I think the biggest advantage for me when I was on court my third time was that the Miss Southern at the time had a plan. She came there, we sat down, we went shopping on our own. We went to Burlington's, we went to KNG, we went to Casper, we went to dealers, and we actually, took pictures of outfits and took them back to our advisors to say, hey, what do you all think of this? And it helped our advisors out a lot because they didn't have to go out and pick out clothes. And every week, what would happen is they would say, hey, what are you all wearing this week? The Miss Southern is wearing gold, the girls are wearing Columbia blue, and the guys are wearing navy suits that we already have in our closet. And it made our advisors a whole lot. They felt comfortable with us, um, more so leading the way. And if you're running for a particular queen or king position, you should be able to look back up along the years and say, this court did this and this court did that. So we know we can't, go too far out of the boundaries, because that's just not our school. Like we said, our school colors. If your colors are green and orange, you can't be wearing red to your coronation. So don't even bring that back to me as an advisor, thinking
Right.
that's okay for you to wear. But it's a learning experience as well, especially as a young lady being on the court and a young male being on the court. You're like, it's privilege. You're out of 8,000 students, it's 10 people that can be a part of the court each year. 10. So you're more so privileged to get all these free suits, these ties, these dresses that will last you longer than you think, as far as going to job interviews, actually getting on the job, and actually wearing your court suits that you had 2, 3 years ago that you can still fit into. So now you have professional clothing and you know how to actually dress the part as well as act the part, because your advisors taught you along the way.
Right.
Yeah, and based on what Shaq said, if there are any current student leaders or aspiring student leaders, if you have a good advisor, we're not irrational people. We're not mean. Like Shaq was saying, that they would bring outfits. I have a prime example, coordination, which was my last coordination. Um, my queens, I had picked out a dress for them. They ordered the dress. The dress came in. They came to me and said, "We like the dress you picked out, Miss Tasha. We like it. But we had another idea." And I said, "Well, I'll take your idea into consideration." So they ordered the dresses. They took the risk. They went ahead and ordered the second dress online, and they all came to
Mhm.
my office, all four of them. And they said, "Can we try both on? Will you at least look?" And I said, "Sure." So they all went and put on the dress that I selected and came in. I said, "Beautiful. You can't look no more beautiful than that." And, beautiful. And they said, "Well, can we try on the other dress for you?" Sure. They went and put the other dresses on and they came in. And I thought the split was a little too high, but
Mhm.
I said, "I tell you what, y'all do look beautiful in the dress that you all picked out. Let's see if a seamstress could just sew the split down a
Yeah.
little
Okay.
lower.
hmm
Just give me about an inch. Give me about an inch. So the split down just a little lower, and y'all can wear that dress." And I didn't have a problem admitting that they had picked out a dress that looked good on all of them, that complimented
Mhm.
them. It matched the theme, it matched the queen dress, it matched a dress that she had wore for something else if they ever have to wear it again. And I was able to bite that bullet and allow that. So I think what we're saying is absolutely true. Sometimes taking the initiative, if you take it in the right
Right
manner,
way. Yeah.
you do it the right way, that will be respected and your advisor will support you, and that's okay.
And then I know from experience with you all, y'all go like far and beyond to make sure the students are to a T. You're
That
carrying
was,
sewing kits, you're carrying shoes, you're stitching this,
listen,
stitching that, changing this, running here, running there,
listen.
just making sure that they're right, because you know that they represent the institution, but it's also you as well. Like they're completely removed. So everything from head to toe, the way they walk, the way they sit, the way they speak, the way they wave, all of that matters.
And
Yeah,
that's a gift.
people don't
Oh,
know all the stuff we have to go through to make that happen,
yeah,
because
No
you're
idea.
a
We
colleague,
have no
and
idea.
they
yeah.
know because we make sure they know, but nobody else knows. Like, a lot of people don't know what it's like when the girls want to wear a particular skirt. You pick out a particular skirt. This happened to me last year. That skirt was in Nashville, Memphis, and Huntsville, three different cities, and I didn't have time for the university to figure out
Come
how
on.
to make it happen. So I drove to get them because I wanted them to have that skirt, and nobody would know that, but the 10 of them and the three of y'all, but nobody would
Right.
know. You
Right.
know, it takes that sometimes, going over and beyond.
Yeah, it's a gift and a curse, though. I mean, like, um, so what a lot of students don't know is there are many times that there was a light bill due, and it was time to pay for that suit, and the game was coming up, and your advisor decided to buy your suit and let the light bill wait a little while, and then had to wait 3 or 4 months to get a reimbursement for paying for what was going to make you look good or something that you wanted. So you have to almost be humble and appreciative of the people. Yeah, I mean, for the people who are killing themselves to make sure that you as a student are looking your very best at all times.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then don't forget that either.
I ask
Yeah.
a question all the time to my students when they say, "Well, Mr. Dillon, we just don't have the money," and I ask the question, "Well, where did you get the money that you used to run for the position for?"
See,
Like
you made that comment like you paid for this.
you can't, everything is just not a handout to you, but you also, I know on the road court, you also learn life hacks. I've learned when we was at a reception and the guys were like, "Hey y'all, what y'all think about these tablecloths being pocket squares, just cutting up into pocket squares?" And it's kind of like I still got a pocket square to this day, to where we was at an event and they said, "Oh, you all," they were throwing them away, and we was like, "Let's make them into pocket squares," cutting up a square to put them on. Or me taking initiative to, I'm going to H&M and I see five socks alike. Hey, let me just get these five socks, or buying a lapel pin, or reaching out saying, "Hey, Queens, do you all have y'all stockings? I'm at the store. I can pick them up for you." It's
Mhm.
really not just about you. It's about all 10 of y'all as a whole, collective as a whole. But you have to realize that if one of y'all look bad, all of y'all look bad.
Mhm.
It just
And
Yeah.
then so
visual.
I, I'm sorry. Yeah, I failed to jump upon the curse part as an advisor. A great thing is that all of the courts that I've had that came underneath me and then they looked immaculate. They did well, right? There was a lot of fights in between, Jesus Christ, but they all came out and looked well. The curse part about it is the more that we, because I never worked alone. So the more that we as a team that worked with me got them looking well, students almost began thinking that it was like it was meant to be, like that's what you're supposed to do. No, I'm not supposed to not pay my
Okay.
bill to make sure you have something to look good. And then the queen before you, yes, she got her suits in the summer, but the monetary situation was different. So I mean, you go get all of yours in the summer.
Right.
There's a different situation and a different time and place and things that happen each and every year. You can't walk in there and have expectations that are too lofty as well. You almost have to sit down. I always try to, like Shaq said, the day that you win, at that moment, 5 minutes after they call and say, "Hey, you celebrate. If you're Greek, you sing your song." I like to see everybody in the room. Everybody, we have a very candid talk at the very beginning. I want you all to go out, have a great time, watch what you do, watch your surroundings, don't get your position take, that good stuff. But when you come back the next day, it's a real talk about how we're going to move forward. And that's that start of an advisor relationship that lets them know that, hey, I'm serious, but I really care for you. Some students come in and they want it from the beginning, and
It's
we've had situations where you saw that clearly Jonas Vanderbilt was not working on that situation. But people also noticed that it wasn't me doing that. And they'd be like, "What in the hell's going on?" I'd be like, "Your guess is as good as mine." You know what I'm saying? But you, as a student, you have to be open and willing and come in with your plan. We love when you come with a plan. Open up some books for me. I think it's the greatest thing in the world because you are halfway there. You let me know what you like. My first thing to Queens is tell me what you like. What's your favorite color? What does this look like? What type of flowers you like? And it gives me an idea of what type of girl she is. I can't speak towards kings because this is my first king that I've had this past
right.
time. And he was actually Shaquille's king. I was just over them and helping them. But you know what I'm saying? The advisor has to sort of try to figure out what is the queen like. And like Tasha said, yes, it's gonna be your coordination because we start on it the day after you're elected. It's gonna be your coordination. It's a theme that's suited for you. We want to make sure it's gonna be grand and beautiful, but it's a university event.
Right.
And obviously,
And so you're gonna get crowned when you're supposed to get crowned. You're gonna come out when you're supposed to come out. We're not gonna flip the program around because you think it could be better a certain way. It's not.
They expect
It's
that.
not
Someone
about
expects
that.
that.
you have to also,
Yeah.
on the speaking on the king's perspective, you have to realize that, yes, the queen gets a lot of more shine than the king. A lot of kings don't have crowns, they don't have sashes. They may just have a crown pin that say king on it. So yes, the glitz and glamour baby on the queen, but you also have to remember you have to treat your queen or your escort with the utmost respect. What happens behind closed doors stay behind closed doors, but when you're in the spotlight of the public, you have to treat them, you have to help her up the steps, you have to, have etiquette when you're eating. It's so many things to learn along the track that will help you as far as teaching teaching you how to be a gentleman, serving in that capacity, because it's much more than the clothes, the makeup, the hair, the suits look nice. It's actually becoming a well-rounded gentleman. And a lot of people will see that. They see when you help the ladies up the stairs, but they see also when you dragging her around the stadium too. So particular things you have to realize that it's much more, like you said, it's much more than the crowns, the sashes, the clothes. It's what you do on game day, or we have chapel. It's much more than that. It's what you do on your spare
Or
time,
when guests come to campus and you got to show up.
recorded and
Yeah.
taking pictures, and you just can't be that person that you was before they announced that you are the winner of that particular position.
It's much more than a fly Instagram post for the
Yeah.
likes. So
And
as a relationship, go ahead.
I'm glad if there are any young men watching who are campus kings or aspire to be campus kings. I want to kind of add this because Shaq just made me think of it. You actually don't have to stand in the shadows of your queen. You don't have to take the back seat to her. Most universities have had queens 40, 50, 60, 80 years before they got kings. So that's more well received, the glitz and the glam, like Shaq was saying. But I had 2 years back to back at North Carolina Central University, where I served as the royal court advisor, where the king, that he was gone. I mean, the president was calling, like, can you send the king? I'm like, can the queen come? Like, because they had developed themselves as such that type of student leader. So I think it is very possible if you are on top of your stuff and you are sharp, you speak well, you show up on time. They like that. And in both of those particular cases, the queen was much more reserved, much more shy. And Amari and Patrick were very outgoing and popular, and the girls were great queens, but the guys, their personality had just driven the whole ship. So I think if you are a king, don't be intimidated by that. It's based on who you are, how you present yourself, and you kind of can open the door for more opportunities for not just you as a king, but other kings to follow.
Yeah, but also to that effect, I would never say like take the back seat too, but also be a king. So we talking about black university and black schools here. So if you are a black man, then you need to respect and take care of that black woman. She is the
Absolutely.
queen. So yes, you stand beside. Sometimes she's gonna be in the forefront. As a black man, or as a man in general, you have to let her shine. Sometimes you can't be trying to take the light every time something's going on. Like that's foolishness. That's morality, that's upbringing, and that's just being the better person. That's being a gentleman. That's being a man. So that's a take on it.
Yeah, I had the great opportunity of having the first Mr. Wiley College, elected Mr. Wiley College. And it was a phenomenal journey. The first year we did not have a Mr. Wiley College, and actually to incorporate into, Wiley College Student Government Association in the Royal Court was just phenomenal, because they went on to, attending their first ever NASAP, to, him saying, I'm the first Mr. Wiley College. And to be the first in something means that you have to leave a great legacy for others to follow. So you can't, step on any tacks or nails or needles. You have to lead in the right direction. So his name was Brandon Woolley, and was a great representation for all male leaders on campus. So you have to realize that you're not only just, no matter in what capacity you serve, you're not only representing the institution that you serve, you representing the long the long list of those who have come before you, and also you're representing your family and your community of where you're from. So you have to never forget where you come from, but you should never forget who helped you get there as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's slide into the Greek life aspect, just briefly. what pointers or advice did you give to these incoming students who might want to come in yelling what they about to be, or they think they about to be, or they about to pledge, and then trying to, do the yard signals, calls?
Yeah. So a while back, I started this program called Divine Intervention, right? I think so. I'm gonna answer the question, but let me start off with this. Students that come into universities now are not as equipped or knowledgeable about the do's and what to and what I can't do in Greek life. And quite honestly, people don't just want to be Greek anymore. Just like they don't want to be SJ presidents and queens. They could care. They like being individuals for the most part. And so I tell my Greek organizations, you have to be mindful of, well, you don't have to recruit people, but if you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're upstanding, you're looking the part, you're playing a role, you're doing what you're supposed to do for your campus and the community, and then your strolls and steps are looking up to par and those different things, and you're dressing the right part. That's how you gain notoriety for these freshmen and incoming persons to see, oh, that's the examples. When I first came to college, the Greeks on campus were fly. They were clean.
Okay.
All these strolls were like on point. They weren't out there acting a fool. I mean, like they were the adult elitist of the campus, and you had no choice but to be like in awe, like, gee, like you want to be a part of it. And I think that's what we've lost as we've moved along. Like it's a strong word called deference. It's a strong word that deals with respect about people who came before you. It's some strong teachings that teach you about how you should act in your letters or even besides your letters. It's a strong advisors of Greek organizations. It's a strong prophytes who tell people when they're looking foolish on the internet or they shouldn't know that they shouldn't even try posting these type of things. So that's my soapbox. We'll get back to that later. Freshmen coming in are looking at those things. And so I tell my Greek life persons in our divine intervention, where I split them up into Greeks and non-Greeks, you can't be mad at the freshman or the sophomore who have her skirt hiked up or turned around in a pose with her behind up if all your line sisters doing the same thing. You can't be mad at the person that is out drunk, high, smoking. You don't want to pick the boy because X, Y, and Z, your line brothers are doing the exact same thing. You have to set the example. And so while we're telling these freshmen, hey, watch your reputation, don't do X, Y, and Z, make sure you look the part, dress up for this. The thing that will drive me the most is when Greeks have a program and it's business professional and the chapter come in with jeans and shit. Like, listen. I'm really like curtailing what comes out of my mouth right now, but it's a certain thing, and it's a privilege to be Greek, and it's a privilege to be a part of these organizations, and it is another, just like that crown is for a queen, those letters are heavy to wear, and you can't be foolish wearing them. You're supposed to be setting an example. Yes, you're a college student. Yes, you're a student leader. Yes, you're a queen. Yes, you should have a student life. Yes, you can go out partying. Yes, you can do these things, but you also have to realize who you are now. You're not just Jonas. You're Jonas the captain now. You're not just Tasha. You're Tasha the AK.
I think that today's new lines and new Greeks, they're missing the whole value of what it is to be a part of the organization.
I'm going to cut my camera off.
Okay.
I think that there's always, this is who I never want to be, the old school Greek person. Back in the days, we did X, Y, and Z. It's a new day and age. They deal being an advisor of a Greek organization for so long. I've seen the evolution of technology, the evolution of style, the evolution of what they wear, the evolution of how they train. Old school people would be like, why are they shaking their shoulders like that? We ain't do that. Well, it's something new that's going on. There are different things that change, but just like a university and a college has standards and traditions that you are to follow,
right?
Greek life is the exact same way. You can't come in and try to change the wheel. Like, this is what it is. Be a part of it or don't. Respect the old people or don't do it. Don't wear it. Don't come to the program. Don't do, you know what I'm saying? And it's a responsibility. You got to pay money to it. You have to pay tithes. You have to blood, sweat, and tears. You have to be a part of the programs. You have to be present. You have to set an example. Because if you don't, these freshmen and sophomores that are seeing you are only going to duplicate what they see. Or their feelings are going to be hurt, or they're going to have less love for organization that they, something they thought it was going to be when they got to it. If they don't see the hard work, if they don't see you doing community service, if they don't see you putting on good programs, then they think that all it is training and having a good time. And I love the red and white shirt. And damn, that pink and green shirt look nice. They all look good with my jeans. I can't wait to have, like, you know, because they don't see you doing no work. So they don't think the work's behind it.
There was a comment made, folks aren't passing the right messages along. They passing chapter info and other behaviors. Bye.
Wow.
Huh?
I think as a freshman coming in, you have the you have the world in the palm of your hands. Technology is a blessing and a curse these days. So a lot of things you can find out on the internet, which you really don't even supposed to know, to be honest, in any organization. But you have this device to where you can Google these organizations and learn what they are about, so that when it comes your turn to actually join an organization, you know what you're actually joining. A lot of times people are interested in different organizations, but they don't know the sole purpose of why they're joining. When they get to the interest meeting and you say, well, tell me, why you should join this organization, and they can't give you a why, but you still pick that person. Why did you even pick that person? Or if you're in the organization and you know someone is interested in your organization, that's when you kind of guide them along the way to teach them the core values of the organization, to lead them, so when they get in the organization, they know the right things and the right things to do rather than the wrong things to do. Because a lot of times within the social media era, everybody just waiting on that probate picture. That's all they're waiting on. They're waiting on that graduation picture, that probate picture, to just dress fly. They can dress trash on campus their whole matriculation, but as soon as they cross, they're gonna be the flyest person on campus. And it's kind of like,
Come on.
wasn't you this person when before you became Greek? And a lot of times when they become Greek, a lot of times forget the people who helped them along the way, and they forget why they was chosen to be in the organization. If you was chosen because you was the SGA guru, because like you was chosen because you was the leader on campus, you was the activist, and you was the one leading, the students on. But then when you get in the organization, you not doing nothing or none of that. Why did you even? Why? So you got to remember your why. So as much as a freshman coming in, showing interest in the organization, once you're that person that's in the organization and you know someone is interested, you have to take a step back and actually help them along the way. That way, your chapter is in good standing when you leave and graduate.
Absolutely.
All right.
You got something?
You want me? Okay, wait. So two things, because Shaq says something that's very important as well. And so this isn't to incoming freshmen or incoming students. These are to Greek students that may be watching or may learn. If you got selected because you was the person with the rhythm and the dancer, and then you decide that you don't want to be a part of step team, it's gonna take too much of your time, you wasting the organization's time. There are things, people are selected for various reasons, and that might not be your only reason. We understand we all got things we get heavy. Being Greek is a heavy load. You have to be able to juggle, move, and do what your organization needs for you to do to make the chapter successful. Before that, we were talking about, Shaq also mentioned Google and the internet. I teach in divine intervention that when you're going to a job interview for IBM or for Boeing, you do research on the company, right? When you get into the interview, you want to make sure you know everything about the company, how their hiring process is, how they dress in the workplace. You research all those things it is nothing different with Greek life. And so these are to my incoming freshmen, sophomores, and those who want to be pledged or don't or want to be a part of the organization wants to pledge. Research. Don't go off of what you think looks nice at your campus or who's the most poppin' or what's going on, because you can make another organization pop harder than what you think might be the popping thing. You'll join this organization because you think they look nice and get in there and hate your experience. When you, if you were to research and saw, oh well, this organization is really about something that I like, then you might turn the organization around and you know, make them what's going on campus. So it's just like a job interview. And because you have so much access to technology, you should know more and be on it before anybody else. You should be well more equipped than I was when I walked into an interview, because I had to go researching for real, flipping pages and stuff, begging people on the phone to tell me, you know, what was these, you know, different things to do. So because you have so much technology and because y'all have so many resources and so many things that you can get into, be knowledgeable. When you decide you want to be a part of an organization, a Greek organization, do that research. And when somebody asks you, well, what do you know about the organization? You should be able to run it. And be like, well, you know, and this is how it ties into my life and how I feel that I can better enhance it, or how I feel that I can help to advance the organization. Right?
Yeah, so the only thing I was going to add, because I think it's so, I don't know a nice political correct way to say this. As a woman, there is nothing more sad to me than seeing a young woman who's in a sorority and I can tell her from any other student.
Mm.
And it's not saying that you're better or different than all other students, but there should be something about you that makes me say that person knows a little more than I know. That person has mastered student life or student leadership or something. And, you know, it just breaks my heart when I see women in sororities. Like, you know, if you add all the active members of all of the chapters, the sorority chapters together, it might be 80 of them. And that's 10% of the university population. So you're a part of something so elite and you don't even look like it. You're not even presenting yourself as such, you know. And you know, when it comes down to our own chapters, you know, it breaks your heart when you're seeing the people wearing the same two letters across their chest that you love so much, that you put your blood, sweat, and tears in, and you like, that's it? That's all y'all? That's all
You feel some kind of way.
You know, so I would say, and this is not about hate or anything like that, but you owe it to the people that have rolled up their sleeves and really given the sorority or fraternity that you're representing their absolute all to do the same. And I don't care if it's 20 years later, you owe it to those people to give it your all because somebody else did that. And for people that are already in sororities and fraternities, what's sad also is when you see the same 5 people doing all the work.
All the work. Yeah.
You know, you think that it's not evident, it's evident. You think, oh no, it looks like we did this as a chapter. No, we know Amber and Ashley did it. We know. You know, because it's always the same 2 people or the same 3 or 4 people, and it's so evident. So I would say if you're joining a Greek letter organization, be prepared to work. Find a way. I remember when we were having elections for my chapter when I was in undergrad, my senior year, everything was gone. Everybody had taken all of the roles, and I was mad. And they said, well, the only thing we have left is the chaplain. I said, I'll be the chaplain. I pray.
Okay. You can pray too, sis.
But you know what? It was important to me because I didn't want to just be a person in the chapter that was not doing something. It didn't sit right with me. I wanted my hands to be busy doing something. And that may have seemed like a small thing, but I took that very serious. And it was something that was very important to me. And unbeknownst to me at the time, I would have line sisters and other people in our chapter that may have gone through personal issues. We had a line sister who was actually deployed to Iraq, things like that. And as a chaplain, I found a way to busy myself with those things. You know what I'm saying? So you have to find whatever the role is and make it your own and work for your sorority, for your fraternity. Seriously work, because that's what the sororities and fraternities need.
And
Yeah,
always remember that it's a lifelong commitment.
Lifelong.
Yes, be active.
yeah, and just like so, like Miss Andrews, like Tasha said, be ready to work, be ready to put in work. Because what you also don't know is in most chapters, in chapters that will take care of business, those people who are not working, they ain't vote neither. Nobody's gonna take them seriously. We don't want you to bring us somebody just like you. So when you say, oh, such and such interested, we're gonna be like, oh, okay.
Uh,
And so if you are non-Greek, don't attach yourself with those people who ain't doing nothing for the chapter, because they are going to be you're going to be a reflection of them when they start bringing your name up. You want to be, it's almost like you're selling yourself. Like if you are the product and you want everybody to buy it, how are you going to sell yourself? And I'm not talking about sell yourself.
how do you want to
I'm
present?
talking about how are you going to make yourself marketable
Right,
to be different or to be better than what's already there.
right.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So we're gonna wrap it up, guys. Y'all know we're almost at 2 hours. We didn't mean to go to
We good.
a lot of. Okay, good.
You can talk.
But we'll wrap it up. I mean, people are still on here, so you can all go around, have your moment. Anything that you want to say to the incoming class, a reminder to your current students, considering the situations that we're, the unrest, all that good stuff. And then, COVID, all this racism and such, and anything that y'all want to tell them, empowering, uplifting. Let them know we're still here. Okay.
I would say to incoming freshmen that you have 4 to 5 years to determine the next 40 to 50 years of your life. What you do now will prepare you for your future, no matter what organization you join, no matter what challenges are brought before you. These things will prepare you to take on the world challenges. For the current students who are in school, they always say find a way or make a way. This is the time for you to actually be creative in your leadership roles in your organizations to actually show the world that you're still, fighting the world's challenges, and we're still in the pandemic, and we have to be creative enough to actually lead on the next student leaders to become the best student leaders that they can become. A lot of schools are not returning in the fall. Some students will be turning in the fall, with the exception of not having a student life on campus. So you have to continue to be creative and allow this time to talk to your advisors to they can actually lead you into the next step of what you should and shouldn't be doing, because a lot of times you may be preparing for something that just a waste of time because the university is just not going to let it happen. So like I said, you have 40 to 50 years to determine you have 45 years to determine the next 40 to 50 years of your life. Open your mouth, step outside your comfort zone, and then just enjoy and embrace the time that you're in.
I would say to incoming students, more specifically to our incoming students, there is no greater time to be a student at a HBCU. I don't mean to get on my political soapbox, but I think a lot of people in our country have began to show us how they really feel about us.
Mm-hmm.
And not to say that a student who is an incoming freshman at a predominantly white institution or a majority servant institution cannot have a great experience. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying that students who are incoming students at historically Black colleges and universities, I think you should take that as a privilege in this moment. and really make it something more than it has ever been. I think this incoming class, the class of 2024, everything about your transition has been different. So I think everything about the experience should also be different. I think you all have the opportunity, even on a national platform, to make the rest of the world jealous that they are not students at historically Black colleges and universities. I'm expecting to see a rise in students that we have never seen before. So I don't know if somebody needs to recreate the Million Man March just amongst African American men from HBCUs and go march down Washington. You know, I don't know what it has to be, but I sense that something amazing is going to come out of this because it was too hard to get here.
Right.
And that's like when you go on vacation and everything go wrong, you done missed your flight and your luggage was lost and this, that, third. When you get there, you guess what? You about to turn up because it's like, you know what? And I think the class of 2024 has to take that mindset. There have been so many things that have been completely out of your control that you couldn't do a single thing about. But once you get on that campus, you better turn it up. Do you hear me? You need to make sure everybody hears you as students. They
Right.
hear you as black people. They hear you as the future politicians and lawyers and decision makers. They need to hear you as the next group of people that will sway or move a vote. Like they need to hear you. And you
Right.
know, my pastor just said this the other night. I was listening. He said, tell your, well, you know, we social distancing. So he said, tell yourself, I'm not making nowhere near the noise that I'm getting ready to make. And I think that's the mindset
Okay.
this
Yeah.
class to have that no class before you could touch. They might have gone through some things we all have. Everybody has their own personal story, but this is unprecedented times, and nobody will have the story that you all will have. So I think
Nobody.
you stand on that and make it something amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real quick and brief because we're on time. But the other thing I want to say is that 2020 has started off with holy hell. I mean, like it is July, almost July. We halfway in, and we like, where is the like, what's going
Let's be
on? Yeah,
honest.
it's a, and so the thing that I want to encourage our incoming students in this class of 2020 is that you've made it this far. All right, like you graduated. Like some people wouldn't have gotten through this. Some people didn't. There are a lot of people who passed away.
Right.
But here you are. You have an opportunity to come to college and to come to HBCU and be great. Also remember all great stories. Tyler Perry was homeless at one time.
Mhm.
Oprah, they all those greats, their stories started off horrible.
Yeah.
So this might be your journey. Like, so it started off bad, but then tell me what you gonna do. Like, what's your next step? What you gonna rise to become? So that's what I say. Like, create your story is already starting. You got your start. It can't get no worse for you.
It's gonna
Push
go up.
forward.
It's only
Yeah,
up.
you got to move up from there. Yep, yep, yep.
But remember that, out of us on this call, one person is in the doctoral program. The other three of us are, God say the same, will be starting our matriculation in the doctoral program.
Absolutely.
So we're in the middle just like you. So as you're going through it, we're going through it with you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're only sharing because we've had experiences as a student and as a professional, and even from watching each other in our interaction with our campuses. So we learn from each other. I think this is Mr. Jarvis. He really appreciated the conversation. He got some things to take back to his campus, so we got to win.
Yay.
Shout out to Everett.
Jarvis.
Everyone, Tanisha, Ziggy, Karen, everybody, Charles, Orlando, they all said great jobs. Thank y'all for your input. I appreciate it. I just really want to, throw this part out here. We always talk about requirements and being accepted, but there is, more to it. Once you get accepted, now how are you going to maximize the experience? So this is just a brief, look into what's offered on the campus of a Black college. And again, the experience is like no other because you're with people like you that's going to challenge you, that look like you. It's a big melting pot of excellence of all type of melody.
This is the time for everyone on the campus of a historically Black college or university to be a destructive leader. disruptive leader. I can't even say it with my braces. A disruptive leader.
Disrupt some space.
Yeah, not destructive.
Not destructive. Properly disrupt spaces. There's a method to the madness. Don't just start losing your head.
Yeah.
You get chopped down real quick. Because
And then also,
we're all here with you, you know.
and then another thing I want to say is that just like you, so and Tasha and Alatoria, both this plan isn't written for anyone. We are all setting a precedence and a new plan for people to follow from coming. I mean, beyond us. So you do the same thing, like set a plan for people. How these new student leaders, or how are you as a student at HBCU going to set the bar for everyone else to follow? The 60s happened, the students of the 70s did something different. Civil rights movement happened, and then Black people started doing something different. This is another civil rights movement. This is another new plan with COVID, and we're dealing with all these Zoom meetings and internet, and now the world has changed. I mean, I doubt that all classes are going to be in person anymore going forward, because they see that it can happen now. So let's set a plan, work with your advisors, work with your administrators to actually set the bar and the plan for all of the rest of the students to follow from now on. This is our new civil rights movement, our new journey. What's going to be next for Black people and Black students?
Standing on the backs of giants, on the shoulders of giants, but what they've had, they're just giving you the foundation. You got to build on that. Look at yourself, see what you got to do, meet with your committee, your SGA, all of them, all of your student leaders, meet with them, see what y'all need to work out. Like, plan that thing accordingly, because some things got to shake, but shake properly.
And no matter where you go along this journey, keep God first.
Absolutely. Well, I thank y'all so much. All of you that stayed on this whole time, the whole hour, 56 minutes. We thank y'all for tuning in. Hopefully it was informative. You guys want to give your handles. If y'all have any questions, I'm sure they'll answer. Y'all can meet them in their DM properly. with your question. Y'all want to give your Instagram handle or something? Your contact information.
Yeah, so all of mine is the same. It's my last name, Vanderbilt, with CO behind it. So spell it just like the college, VANDERBILTCO. That's my Instagram. And it's also my Gmail. So vanderbiltco@gmail.com. My Instagram @vanderbiltco.
My Instagram is my first and last name with an underscore. So it's just @TashaAndrews_. And yeah, that's it. And you can DM me. I also have a quick little ebook on how to be a good student leader. It's specifically driven towards Royal Court. So if anybody's interested in that, I'd be more than happy to offer the book. I'd be more than happy to offer that book. Actually for free. So if you send me a DM, if you're interested in having a copy, I'd be more than happy to share that for anybody that was a part of it. What's the title of it again? Are you crown bound? Are you crown bound? Yes, it's about how to earn and keep the crown, because you can earn it and lose it. Okay.
And my social media handles are, for Instagram and Twitter, is Dapper Dylan. Dylan is spelled DILLON. And that's for Instagram and Twitter. And if any kings are watching or inspiring kings watching and need help with wardrobe or suit, we know informative websites. Did I say that right? I don't know. You know, you don't have to have $1 million to own the best suits. You know, it's making sure that you have the resources that are needed to make you the person that you want to be. So, you know, a lot of times we do, even Tanisha Kuzby, she's doing a suit giveaway. So you never know what opportunities are going to be presented in front of you. So, yeah.
Maximize, I can't say it enough, maximize the opportunities, the people that you know, because they do matter.
Yeah, and listen, so talk to your advisors as well, but we're all at different schools and we all know each other. So reach out to us if you have any questions with anything.
Oh, yes. I used to serve as a Royal Court advisor, so I was very strict about assisting other royal courts, but I no longer serve in that capacity, which has freed me up to be more of a consultant.
Yes.
Yes, I can be more of a consultant across a greater spectrum. So if you have any questions about royal court, I love making lookbooks based on your school colors and stuff like that. So if you're interested or need any help from me, I'm very much so open to assisting.
We all want to win. We want everybody to win.
Let me get your book. Yeah. But thank y'all so much. Thank you, Facebook, YouTube. Thank y'all for turning into the live. See y'all the next time.
Great job to you for hosting this.
Thanks.
McCraft